The sea lay still, a sheet of glass reflecting the angry dawn sky. Two fleets miles apart, prepared for a dance of death. The salty air crackled with anticipation. This was it. The men knew what was coming. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for the horrors of naval warfare. Every sailor, from the grizzled veteran to the fresh-faced recruit, felt a knot of dread in their stomach. The calm wouldn't last. The rising sun glinted off the massive guns of the warships. They were behemoths of steel, bristling with weapons, each ship a floating fortress, ready to unleash hell. The fate of nations rested on their shoulders. Leading the Crimson Armada was the Sovereign, a fearsome battleship. Her guns could level a city. Alongside her sailed destroyers and cruisers, each a predator in its own right. They were the shield and the sword of the Empire. Their objective to crush the rebellion. Facing them, the Liberty Alliance fleet, smaller, faster ships relying on agility and cunning. Their flagship, the Intrepid, a symbol of defiance against tyranny. Their mission to break the blockade and secure their freedom. The two fleets were a study in contrasts. One a hulking embodiment of brute force, the other a pack of wolves, relying on speed and coordination. But both were driven by the same primal instinct: survival. On the Sovereign's bridge, Admiral Petrov surveyed the situation. A seasoned veteran, his face was a mask of grim determination. He had anticipated the enemy's moves. He had a plan. Across the water on the Intrepid's bridge, Captain Ramirez felt a surge of adrenaline. A brilliant tactician, he knew the odds were stacked against him, but he also knew the element of surprise was his greatest weapon. He too had a plan. The battle plans unfolded in their minds. Each move a calculated risk, every decision carrying the weight of hundreds of lives. This was a chess game with the highest stakes imaginable. One wrong move could spell disaster. The order rang out. Fire! The Sovereign's guns roared, shaking the very foundations of the sea. Shells screamed across the water, aimed at the heart of the enemy fleet. The battle had begun. The Intrepid, nimble and swift, dodged the deadly barrage. Return fire blazed from the rebel ships. Explosions ripped through the air. The sea churned with the fury of 1,000 suns. Each ship danced a deadly ballet, twisting, turning, firing. The air filled with the acrid smell of gunpowder and the screams of wounded men. Every second was a lifetime, every breath of victory. Section 5, Cloak of Smoke and Rain. As the battle raged, a dense fog rolled in, shrouding the warships in an eerie silence. Visibility dropped to near zero. The roar of cannons was replaced by the ominous creaking of hulls. The fog was both a blessing and a curse. It offered cover but also brought confusion. Friendships became indistinguishable from foes. Every sonar ping, every creak of metal sent shivers down the spines of the sailors. Through the swirling mist, shadows moved. Ships stalked each other, relying on instinct and technology. Each captain prayed their next salvo would find its mark. The tension was almost unbearable. Section 6, a desperate gamble. Captain Ramirez saw an opportunity in the chaos. A risky maneuver, bordering on suicidal. But it was their only chance. He ordered the Intrepid to break formation and charge straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. The crew of the Intrepid held their breath as they plunged into the swirling gray abyss. Blindly, they raced towards the enemy, every gun blazing. They were surrounded, outnumbered, but not outmatched. The Sovereign, caught off guard, turned her massive guns towards the lone attacker. But the Intrepid was too close, too fast. Her torpedoes slammed into the Sovereign's hull, sending shockwaves through the water. Section 7, a fatal blow. The Sovereign, mortally wounded, began to sink. Her once proud hull, now a mangled wreck. The heart of the Crimson Armada was broken. The tide of the battle had turned. Demoralized and leaderless, the remaining Crimson Armada ships faltered. The Liberty Alliance, reinvigorated by their victory, pressed their advantage. The hunters had become the hunted. One by one, the Crimson ships fell silent, consumed by flames or swallowed by the unforgiving sea. The smell of burning metal and oil filled the air, a grim testament to the carnage. Section 8, Victory's Price. As the smoke cleared and the fog dissipated, the true cost of the battle became horrifyingly clear. The sea was a graveyard of twisted metal and broken bodies. The victory was hard won, paid for in blood and sacrifice. On the battered deck of the Intrepid, Captain Ramirez surveyed the scene, his face etched with exhaustion and sorrow. He had won the day, but at a terrible cost. He knew the war was far from over. The survivors tended to their wounds and mourned their dead. They had stared death in the face and emerged victorious, but the scars of this battle, both physical and emotional, would remain with them forever. Section 9. The Echoes of War. News of the battle spread like wildfire. The defeat of the sovereign, once thought invincible, sent shockwaves throughout the world. It was a turning point in the war, a beacon of hope for the oppressed. The echoes of the cannons would be heard for generations to come. The memory of the sacrifice made that day would forever be etched in the annals of history. The fight for freedom was far from over, but on this day, hope had won a decisive victory.